like Ethereum and Polkadot. There you go. Now here's the question I can't really quite sort out completely. Is it a multi-chain or single chain? What do I mean by this? ETH 1.0 is a single chain. There's a single blockchain, transactions are added to the chain, and so on. That's where the record is held as far as the ledger. Now as far as application coins go, they are now moving for the most part into some sort of multi-chain. In the case of ETH 2.0, they're going to have 64 shards, and basically that is going to be separate in individual blockchains, keeping records of stuff, and basically that allows it to be more scalable. In the case of Polkadot, it's using parachains and parathreads to become more scalable, and that's how they do it. In the case of Tron, I do not see them doing they don't appear to have anything that's equivalent to shards or anything that's equivalent to parachains or parathreads. It appears for the most part that it is a single chain, and that is outside of different modules. So the way Tron works is it uses different modules to solve things like storage, and then their token system, and so on. So you have like Tron, and then you have Sun. So it kind of has different ways to interact with the main chain that enable it to be faster than, say, something like Ethereum, but it hasn't gone into the full scalable mode as far as I can tell. Now that's the big question I had, so I popped onto Twitter and I said, yo, am I missing something? Tron says it's more scalable than Ethereum. How? And pretty much the answer I got, and we have quite a few followers, we have like 7,300 followers. When I asked that question, I also tagged Tron and was trying to get an answer from somebody that's a fanboy of Tron, or from the team members or something along those lines. Fact of the matter is, none of them would respond. The only people that respond said scalability is a lie. It's just a marketing term. So I don't see it. I can't find anybody that can show it to me. So as far as I can tell, it doesn't have the scalability of something like ETH 2.0 or Polkadot. So that's going to be a knockoff in my category here for Tron, especially because they advertise that they are scalable, and they're not scalable. I have a problem with that, okay? They're not as scalable as a solution that uses parachains, parathreads, or shards, just by nature, okay? So let's talk about the back-end development. Have they done anything different here? Yes and no. Primarily, Tron is going to still be Solidity. It is a fork of Ethereum, and a fork of Ethereum's Solidity language. This could be seen as a positive or a copy-paste of Ethereum. I'll let you be the judge. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. The rest of the language syntax is compatible, of course, with Solidity. So TVM to EVM, TVM being Tron Virtual Machine to EVM being Ethereum Virtual Machine, they're compatible back and forth. So that could be a positive, right? Or it could just be a copy pasta. Execution environment. So Tron Virtual Machine is the execution environment. They call it a TVM. Like we mentioned, it is basically the same execution environment that ETH uses. So we're talking about a single execution environment here. Once again, as far as I can tell, tried to get some information from some people. If I am missing something, because I feel like as much as people talk this thing up, I feel like I'm missing something. I'm not going to lie, because to me, this is still it still has the same problems that ETH1 has, and I'm confused. So TVM initially forked from EVM and can connect seamlessly with the existing Solidity smart contract. So once again, it is basically, if you are wanting to migrate between essentially Tron and Ethereum, it's made easier from the developer's perspective. So different from the gas mechanism though on EVM, operations and transactions in smart contracts on TVM are free. So this is important. This is where Tron sets itself apart finally from Ethereum, and that is that essentially it means that development costs are lower on Tron than they are on Ethereum, because basically the operations of transactions and smart contracts on their execution environment are free. So, and no TRX is consumed. So that is a good thing. That's a positive. And I wanted to mention that that's what we're looking at there. Now, governance. So every account in Tron network can apply and have the opportunity to become a super representative. And here's the thing. So super representatives kind of move us into the consensus mechanism. But what you need to know about them for governance is that that's the only way for any governance to take place. This is the argument that a lot of people that are against Tron have for it being centralized. And that's because you have a limited amount of candidates. Another additional thing to this that's kind of a downside is that whenever you apply to be a super representative, there are 9,999 Tron that are burned. Now, last time I checked, this is anywhere from $400 to $600 depending on the day and the price of the Tron. And those are burned and gone forever. So you don't get to keep those in your little super representative wallet. That gets burned and done. Now, why do they do that? Of course, in a lot of projects, whenever you hear the term burned, it means that it is a form of price control. So typically, at least how I read it, is if somebody says they're burning tokens or we're burning, it is a way to control the price. We talked about this in my Uniswap video, which I did have some tokens that were getting burned when you added liquidity. And the reasoning for that was to essentially encourage people to hold that token. It's really no different here as far as like the reason it's used, in my opinion. However anybody else sees it or however they want to advertise it, okay. But in my opinion, it's a form of price control, and that's it. You deal with that however you want to deal with it. Let me know in the comment section what you think. Is price control via burning fees and so on and so forth, is that a good thing in your opinion, or is that a bad thing? I'm still kind of up in the air on it. Like I said, I do hold some tokens that use this or practice that form of, I guess, burning fees or price control. So that gets us into the consensus mechanism, which is DPoS, standing for Delegated Proof of Stake. The Tron consensus mechanism uses, of course, DPoS system, in which 27 super representatives that we mentioned earlier produce blocks for the network. Every 6 hours, TRX account holders who freeze their accounts can vote for a selection of super representative candidates, with the top 27 candidates deemed the super representatives. Voters may choose super representatives based on criteria such as projects that are sponsored by super representatives and or rewards distributed to voters. So, geez, this is dumb. So voters basically choose super representatives based on essentially super representative projects, as well as whether or not or how much that super representative is going to reward voters. So this is where things get really weird and funky. This to me like reeks of manipulation. I don't like it, but from how I understand it is that if you lock up your Tron, you can vote in basically different super representatives, and that means that it's potentially the bag holders or the large whales can vote in whichever super representatives they want every single time. It doesn't seem to be a randomness, and it seems like voters choose it based on either projects sponsored by super representatives, which means super representatives have total control, right, of what projects they decide are worthy and which projects aren't. And then also you can pay out the voters, correct me if I'm wrong, but you can pay out the voters as a super representative with more rewards than say like another one, keeping you at the top to get chosen more. Okay. All right, so fees. There are 3 types of fees. Normal transaction fees cost bandwidth points. Users can use the free daily bandwidth points, which is 5,000, or freeze TRX to obtain more. When bandwidth points are not enough, TRX will be used directly from the sending account. The TRX needed is the number of bytes times 10 sun. So the second type of fees is smart contracts cost energy, but will also need bandwidth points for the transaction to be broadcast and confirmed. The bandwidth cost is the same as above. So we talked about the bandwidth cost. And then finally, all query transactions are free. It doesn't cost energy or bandwidth. Now, so essentially you have 1, which costs energy and bandwidth. Then you have 2, which costs bandwidth. And then you have 3, which doesn't cost anything, right? And that's those queries, which is a good thing. This is good for developers that the queries don't cost anything, because once you start charging the developers, it's hard to get developers to, develop. It makes it harder on them because it costs.
And for 2021, I've been seeing a lot of, prices between 3 and 5 cents. But to be honest with you, what I'm looking for in 2021 is to see Tron get up to 10 cents. So if you get up to 10 cents, that would definitely be ideal. I think worst case scenario, this coin could maybe retrace to like 1.5 cents to 2 cents. But there's a lot more upside to getting Tron right now. You know what I'm saying? But my price prediction for it, and if it's it being a good investment in 2021, I think 10 cents is what I'm looking for. Not financial advice, but I do really like the coin as long as you're getting it under 3 cents and you're willing to hold on to it, for 6 months to, a year down the road.